Dun 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 dun. Hello, it's ShadeX, and I didn't completely enjoy The Rise of Skywalker. The film isn't awful, but it's not great either. The Rise of Skywalker is the second Star Wars film directed by J.J. Abrams. J.J. had the job of finishing the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and the film is being marketed as the end of the Skywalker saga. The Rise of Skywalker was meant to be a crowd pleaser. Still, there is no way for J.J. to please all the fans. Star Wars has morphed into a gigantic franchise that a lot of people love. George Lucas used to be in charge of it and released the Star Wars films and other franchise media under Lucasfilm. But in 2012, George Lucas sold the entire Star Wars franchise and the company to Disney. We live in an age of the internet, and back when the first Star Wars trilogy came out, there wasn't one. There was no Rotten Tomatoes, there was no Twitter, there was no Reddit, and there was no Discord. There were no leaks. All there were the critics. Films would get good reviews or bad reviews, and people would decide to see movies based on that. But because of the internet, now ordinary people can share their opinions on movies, which is what I am doing right now. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker isn't a good movie, but I liked parts of it. The highlight of the film for me was the performances by Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver. Rey and Kylo Ren are definitely my favorite characters in the trilogy. I liked how the movie expanded on their link through the Force that was established in The Last Jedi. Now they can interact with each other in lightsaber battle despite being in different locations. I really enjoyed that fight scene. I also like seeing Billy D. Williams as Lando Calrissian again. He was great for the few moments he was in the movie. Zori Bliss was cool for the short time she was on screen. She's Poe Dameron's bounty hunter X from his spice running days. I really wish she was on screen more. But what I didn't like about the film was how it was fast-paced. There was too much going on in this film. The Rise of Skywalker is a film that is wrapping up the sequel trilogy, so I understand that there's a lot of loose ends that need to be tied up. However, I feel like there could have been a better way to tie up the trilogy. The whole fetch quest video game plot of the film for the Sith Pathfinder takes up a lot of this film's runtime. While Rey and Kylo have great moments together in this film, not much time is spent with Poe Dameron or Finn. There is at least something going on in this film with Poe and Zori Bliss, but Finn does nothing in this film. He tells Rey that he really wants to tell her something, but he never tells her it. The only other character moment Finn gets in this film is when he meets another ex-stormtrooper named Jenna, but nothing is done with this plot point. I really wish Finn did more in this trilogy. In The Last Jedi, he did more, even if he did fight Captain Phasma for a few seconds, but in The Rise of Skywalker, he does nothing. Well, apparently Finn wanted to tell Rey he was Force sensitive, according to J.J. Abrams, but he never told her that in the movie. I really wanted to see Finn use the Force ever since he used the lightsaber in The Force Awakens. It's a shame his character doesn't do much in the sequel trilogy. Rey, Finn, and Poe never got to do anything memorable together. They are apart from each other for most of the trilogy, so there was never a group dynamic set for those characters. So when I saw the three together in The Rise of Skywalker, I didn't feel much. Now we'll talk about my thoughts on the big revelations. Rey is a Palpatine. It was pretty clear that J.J. Abrams wanted to do this, or at least something similar. Maybe he originally planned to have Rey be a Skywalker, but Rian Johnson completely threw that idea out the window by making Rey a nobody. After I saw The Force Awakens, I wanted Rey to be a Skywalker, but after seeing The Last Jedi, my mind got changed. Making Rey a nobody who is strong in the Force actually makes the character more interesting. I'm not completely against Rey being a Palpatine, because I do find it interesting how Kylo Ren is on the dark side of the Force and is of Skywalker bloodline, and how Rey is on the light side of the Force and is of Palpatine bloodline. Still, did they really need to bring Palpatine back? I honestly didn't care that he was back. Sure, Ian McDiarmid is a great actor, and he was one of the few good things about the prequels. Still, he doesn't really do much in this movie. Palpatine is revealed as being the big bad all along. He created Snoke. He was the real one who turned Kylo to the dark side. Kylo finds him, and he's attached to all these wires. Palpatine is literally on life support. The dude survived the second Death Star's explosion, and he's on life support. Rey meets the Emperor at the end of the film, and he wants her to kill him so she can absorb his evil light force and become Empress Palpatine. One thing I did like in this film, though, was how Kylo Ren ended up redeeming himself and becoming Ben Solo again. I actually liked how Harrison Ford returned as Han Solo in the film. I also liked how Ben threw his lightsaber in the ocean and came to fight the Emperor with a blaster. I did like the throne room battle with Rey and Ben. It was cool seeing Ben with a blue lightsaber. But Ben gets thrown into a hole and Rey ends up battling the Emperor. I did like the voices of Jedi's past talking to Rey. It was cool hearing Hayden Christensen as Anakin again, and hearing Ahsoka Tano's voice in the film. Still, I wish Ben was there to fight Palpatine. Rey dies after the battle, and Ben force heals her just like she did for him early in the film. Ben kisses her and then he disappears. Honestly, Ben deserved a better send-off than this. I knew Ben would die, but I'd rather him battle the Emperor just like his grandfather Anakin did. It would have been cool to see him around for the full fight. Maybe he destroys the Emperor and not Rey. But nope, he gets eaten by Palpatine, and then he force heals Rey and disappears. Here are my thoughts on Carrie Fisher's send-off as Leia. It was decent. I'm glad J.J. Abrams didn't say she died off screen in the opening crawl. That would have been disrespectful. J.J. Abrams used unused Force Awakens footage, and he didn't have a lot to work with. Still, I think her story ended fine. She dies by using her Force energy to talk to Ben, and this is the closest thing to a scene of the two together. J.J. Abrams definitely wanted a scene of Leia and Ben together, but Carrie Fisher's death made that impossible. That was one of the things I wanted to see in the sequel trilogy. Leia playing a role in redeeming Kylo Ren. And that happened, kinda. Another detail about Leia I liked was that Luke trained her to be a Jedi, but she quit. I'm at least glad this got acknowledged. I did like seeing Mark Hamill talk to Rey as Force Ghost Luke, even if it was for a short time. I didn't like the Endgame style ending with the ships. There was too much CGI. Endgame definitely overshadowed Rise of Skywalker. Both our films had a lot to do, and I think Endgame accomplished that better than Star Wars. I want to talk about the ending. The film ends with Rey dubbing herself a Skywalker, and the ghosts of Luke and Leia look at her. This didn't feel completely earned. I also wish the film ended with the ghost of Ben Solo showing up. It's a fine wrap to the trilogy, but as an ending for the Skywalker saga, it's not great. It's one thing I absolutely loved in this movie, and it's John Williams' score. I think every Star Wars fan can at least agree with that. The next Star Wars trilogy will never feel the same without his music. Overall, I thought the Rise of Skywalker wasn't great, but that's okay. There are going to be people who like this movie and a lot of people who really don't like this movie. J.J. Abrams even knows this.
We knew starting this, any decision we made, a design decision, a musical decision, a narrative decision, would please someone and infuriate someone else. And they're all right.
The Skywalker saga is over, and while the ending wasn't completely satisfying, there's no reason to be worked up about it. The sequel trilogy won't be remembered as anything great, but that's fine. It's impossible to top the original trilogy. Those films were made under different conditions. I'm thankful the sequel trilogy exists, despite its flaws. The films aren't as bad as the prequels. I like how the sequel trilogy uses actual sets and practical effects instead of using a blue screen like George Lucas did with the prequel trilogy. Star Wars has evolved from the trilogy format at this point. This started with Star Wars The Clone Wars and has continued with The Mandalorian. I think television shows are the future of Star Wars, and The Mandalorian has definitely overshadowed The Rise of Skywalker. Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 7 is coming out next year, and I am excited for that. There's also an Obi-Wan show coming out with Ewan McGregor. It's fine that the ending of the sequel trilogy wasn't great, since Star Wars has plenty of better media that is out now and is coming in the near future. I'm looking forward to the next trilogy, especially since it'll be about something new and not the Skywalkers. This has been Shade X, and may the Force be with you.